championship rings, tickets, trophies, and more up next on the UFL Podcast.
1, 2, 3.
Welcome back, everybody, to another amazing edition of the UFL Podcast. I'm the ref representing Pro Football Newsroom, the leaders in spring football news, and boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, do we got a big week for you. But before we get started, I'm joined as always by my man, Zach Kyleman. How you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing great. I'm feeling like a winner. So much so that all the championship stuff for this coming week is upon us. And even a little bit from the past, we're cycling back to something I think that was forgotten in one of our stories too. So kind of, yeah, winning formula. I'm feeling like a winner this week. Also playoff bound. So just, again, feeling good. Life's good right now.
Oh, it's real good. Well, we'll talk about it a little bit later, but there's tickets, there's rings, there's trophies, there's still a couple weeks left to the season. There's refs law, Zach, that's out of control.
Yes.
But before we even get into that, we got a couple things. Social media, what the hell are you doing? At UFL Podcast, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Hey, you know what? Throw it on the TikTok as well. We might get there. They might ban it too. Who knows? But who knows? Just make sure you're following us. Make sure you're following PF Newsroom and check in pfnewsroom.com daily for all the latest news, because it comes out before we have a chance to talk about it, believe it or not. We just kind of do the recaps over here on the podcast.
Right.
This is a big one. I always forget to ask it, but it's free. It's free. And I always say, if it's free, it's me. Look below the video, hit the like button. And if you don't like it, hit the dislike button. But that goes a long way, really helps us out. And since you're down there, make sure you're subscribed, click the bell. It builds morale. It also lets you know when we go live, just like every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern with Around the UFL, which, Zach, this past week I was supposed to be on, and it was like 3 minutes before, and I got pulled into a work call, and it ended like 2 minutes before you guys ended the stream.
Straight up, making sure he's keeping progress going on in the real world here. That's what's happening. It was a fun show this week too. Just I wish you were. Call me Pink Floyd. I wish you were here.
Well, next week I will be there this Monday, 100%, which is Memorial Day. So we actually have to figure that out. Just make sure everybody is still available and not barbecuing.
Pass around the hot dogs and the beer.
Hell yeah. What else do we got? Hey, Ducky, community legend. We just saw him in Michigan this past week. He had a friend, Cohen. They traded. I think Ducky got him a football. Cohen gave him some pictures that he drew online. That's what we like to see. And you know what? After that happened, the UFL took notice and said, hey, we want to meet that kid too. And they hooked him up, I think, with some swag as well. Yeah. That's the community legend in action. But if you want to be a ducking legend like our man, Ducky, look at the link down below in the description. We have limited edition Ducky merch, and it stops. The sale ends after the championship game, which, as you know, is only a few weeks away.
It's coming.
But here's the good news. All of the proceeds go back to Feeding America, and that's not just what we're doing. That's the name of the charity. Last year, we gave 1,000 meals. This year, we're trying to break that. So, again, link down below. Everything goes to a good cause, and you get to support the, Feeding America and get some cool merch that goes along with it. But if you are looking for official merch, you can head over to breakingtea.com/USFL newsroom, or use the code USFL newsroom to save yourself 10% off. They have USFL gear, XFL gear, and yes, indeed, UFL gear. And you can use the code for all of them. Save yourself 10%, and it helps us out as well. I think that's it. Now we get to go into the fun stuff, Zach. Big news, big week. So we already talked about it. We're so close to the championship. It feels like the season just started. The playoffs are locked in. We know who's going to play who. There's still some debate on who's going to be the number one seed, although in Birmingham, they're getting home field advantage no matter what.
Correct.
But I'm telling you, beyond all of those things, we're really getting that championship feel now. And this is the first. We have 3 stories about championships, related items. The first one, like you mentioned, Zach, we're going to rewind a year and go back to the 2023 XFL Championship team, which, as you guys probably are all aware of, is the Arlington Renegades. Now, they're not having the season that they would have hoped for. Neither are the Defenders, interestingly enough. But the competition is like no other in this league. But one thing that we saw earlier this year is the Birmingham Stallions, at the beginning of the season, they received their USFL Championship rings. And the people start saying, hey, wait, what's the deal here? What about the Arlington Renegades? They got the Whisk trophy, but are they not going to get some rings to go along with it? Well, good news, Zachy boy. We got a release that came out this week. The Arlington Renegades, they're finally getting their rings. And you guys, I think you all have a chance to go and check it out, right? So here's what's going on. According to the release, so the UFL will present the Arlington Renegades their 2023 XFL Championship rings for their win against the DC Defenders last May in the inaugural championship game. And so who? And so this is actually answers my question we were talking about before. So the entire 2023 Arlington Renegades team, head coach Bob Stoops, entire coaching staff, along with president and CEO Russ Brandon. So that's who's all going to be at the event. So all of the folks from last year. I expect to see Kyle Sloter. That's what I want to see. Double ring. He should wear his USFL Championship ring. I saw him at that game too. So, hey, you want to know when this kicks off? Friday. Today, the day that this podcast released, May 24th, from 4 to 6 p.m. at Texas Live, Troy's at Texas Live specifically. And if you don't know about Texas Live is amazing, and it's right across the street from Choctaw Stadium. So if you know where the games are at, you know where Texas Live is at. Come and support it. I might drive out there. I don't know. It is a holiday weekend, so I don't know how much I want to be mucking around on the roads. Maybe. I don't know. I got nothing to do tomorrow.
I mean, hey, if you got time, I mean, look, at least the thing I'm happy is that they are going to get their rings. Because, look, it wasn't like, I don't think everyone forgot, but, like, it was kind of like we're into the season now. It's like, maybe this is just something that got passed over. You know, merger thing gets kind of collapsed in and whatnot. But kudos, they did get this finished and set up. Rings are going to be coming in. I'm very now fascinated to see what the design looks like. As we know with the USFL ones, they're stacked up trophies for the repeat champion Stallions. Both of them had the trophy on their rings for the first and second year. This one, I'm wondering if it's going to be like the XFL trophy. It's just going to be like the big R logo on there with the diamond pattern set up. Going to be nice. And I think at least based on the info, should be nice. It should be cool to have some diehards go visit and at least get to see the rings in person, you would think. Or if not, like, hey, it's a private event. We better see some great video coming out of that like we've seen with previous ring ceremonies in the USFL. So this is good. I'm happy that they followed up on this, something to honor that squad. Because, I mean, hey, history for both these leagues is now combined. So it's good to have it where they're honoring these guys and the entire staff of a team. Some guys that aren't even there anymore should be getting rings, or from different teams now they've moved on to will be getting to be represented. So good stuff. Very nice. What a pleasant surprise this week. That was not something I expected to see. So I am glad that they got it done. Really happy about this.
Now, we were talking about this before the show too. One thing that I would like to see, and I know it's a little bit late, but I still want to see it, is, when we look at Birmingham, they have that beautiful banner out in the stands that shows, hey, they're back-to-back champions in the USFL. We had it last year when they were just the singular champion. When we look at Arlington, and correct me if I'm wrong, maybe there is something there. I know, who would know? James Baker. If you're listening, drop it in the comments below.
Probably.
But when we were in Arlington for week 1, I don't recall seeing anything either in the stands or raised up anywhere. Bring it on, hook them up. I mean, that goes a long way for the morale too. I mean, it is a championship team, So
it's just been that type of year for them anyway. Like, at least I think that's another thing with the rings. You at least get some sort of like upward swing. Like, hey, something to boost the morale of some of these guys that are returning. If the banner's there, I would be shocked if we didn't see any, or if we missed the social posts about it or something, or they just didn't say anything. Because, I mean, a banner being up there, that's like gold mine material for a social media video. So I don't know. It does shock me because they did have the budget to do it in Birmingham, but they didn't do it in Arlington. Mm-hmm. I don't know what to say to that. But again, I feel like some stuff with the merger, that's why I felt with the rings. I feel like it just kind of got scuffled in with the merger and time just kind of got lost. So I guess the banner's the one that's the odd man out. I don't know. Maybe next year they hang it up. There's room up there in that second level. There's no one that sits up there. So
there's plenty of room. Yeah.
There is no reason it can't be done. Question is, will it be done? That's
and
my
I mean,
thing.
if they want, they can let us. We'll just put the banner up in Houston where it should have been anyway. But got some room too.
Ceremonial.
Yeah.
A remembrance of times gone by.
I don't want to talk about it anymore. But rings, it's nice to see. I loved the USFL Championship rings, both year 1 and year 2. I am amped to see what these guys get, what the design is. Like, is there a trophy? Is it more team oriented? What do we get out of it? Especially now, because you got to imagine when it comes to the Stallions rings, those were probably in motion before the merger.
Yeah.
These rings, maybe they were, but it feels like since we're getting them so late in the season that they were probably in motion after the merger. And so I'm curious to see how much that will maybe potentially impact what it looks like, right? Do we see a big emphasis on XFL or not? Because, the XFL conference is here, but it's not like the big honcho anymore.
Oh, sure.
So,
I think it would look good if they here's my ideal look, personally, just thinking about it now. I'd put the R logo on the top and maybe find some way to interlace it with like the XFL Championship trophy. And on the sides, and I know they didn't use them as much last year. They're finally getting around to using the better logo, by the way. And hopefully next year they'll fully use it. But put the Renegade head icon on the sides of the ring.
yeah.
And do it like that.
That'd
And then
be
maybe
nice.
underneath
That would
do
be
some
slick.
special engraving with the score and maybe the scores for the playoffs. But like, that's what I would do. Because I don't know. I think you dual layer the logos. You find a way to put the trophy in, just like the USFL one. They're going to be those like those baby blue, how they use baby blue for the gems will be on there too. Maybe some specialty with the red. There's some ways. I want to see this really badly now. Now that it's confirmed they are going to get them done, at least to our knowledge, they probably were talked about. But like now that they're out there saying we're going to do this and honor it, like cool. I can't wait to see the designs. There's possibilities here. I want that. Yeah. I want the Renegade head though. I think it'll look really good if you put it on the sides of the ring. Put it right there. Get that nice ice on the ring finger.
No, I agree.
So
I mean, the Renegade head logo is so much better, and this isn't. I think Renegades fans agree. I don't think I'm saying anything controversial here by saying that.
Even the league agrees because they've switched all their branding except the helmets to the old logo, which if I had to guess, they're probably just going to flip all of it next year anyway because that R logo, even our own Renegades fans in our Discord say that our logo sucks. So put it back to what it was in 2020. Trust me, people will be happier. You're going to, people associate better with the 2020 logo. It looks better. That's all I'm saying.
The other logo just reminds me of like the prescription thing.
Oh God.
That's all I see. And I'm like,
medicine.
I don't know. Yeah, that's not it. That's not the look you guys want here.
You got Eli Lilly out there slinging the rock, some scientists.
So that's rings. That's last year. Now we get to fast forward to this year, Zach, which we got big news too, man. So championship tickets, USFL. Or UFL, God, oh my goodness, UFL.
Hey now.
It's going to take me the whole season to get that right. I'm going to be doing this next year too, I got a feeling. But anyway, UFL championship tickets are officially on sale. And Zach, we got ours.
We're
going with the Kyleman, Familia Kyleman. I'll be rolling out there. So now I met your mom, your grandma, and now I'll have a chance to meet your dad. I haven't met your brother yet, right?
He won't be there. He's not. No. He's the odd man out, not the football fan of the family. That you maybe someday, but not at a football game. That right. I can guarantee. But yeah, Papa Kyleman, Pete, he'll be out there.
I'm looking forward to it.
Good time. We Kylemans, we throw a party. Hopefully, should be tailgating too, as you guys know.
Hell yeah!
Said that. So we're gonna have a good time out there. It'll be a fun day of football action, and we're gonna be sitting 50-ish yard lines, so optimal seating for the entire thing, just like we want. But yeah, tickets are on sale now. Pre-sale was earlier this week on the 21st. They kicked things off. Mainly Battlehawks season ticket holders. Then they moved on to pre-sale codes. And as we are recording, it's the first official open day of sales for tickets. We got in with a pre-sale code for the family, so that's how we're doing it. But yeah, open to the public now. Come one, come all. I think it's going to be a loaded crowd no matter what the result is. Obviously, no one will say this officially in the UFL side, but the Battlehawks winning and going there would probably be ideal, and people would love to see that for ticket sales. But otherwise, I think it's going to be a good time. It's a gathering of spring football fans in general. Like, I've had no disappointments going to the two USFL championships last 2 years, and this will probably only be larger in scale thanks to the combined fan bases and just St. Louis. It's St. Louis. They love the spring scene. That's all it is you need to know.
Oh, it's gonna be a wild atmosphere in there. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to tailgate. I can't wait to go to the game. I can't wait to see who's in it. I know everybody's kind of like, oh, the Stallions have a lock. I don't know yet. We'll talk about that a little bit later here too. I still think the Stallions need a loss to before they get to the end of the season.
You're dead set they have to take an L before they get in the playoffs. You're thinking
I think they should.
I know you've been talking that, yeah.
And if they don't, I mean, it is what it is, but they should.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think week 10 when next week to me, 2 weeks from now to me, we'll talk then. Although, as we get into the previews a little bit later, I mean, talk about best matchup of the weekend, got to go on the road. Certain QB might be back for said opposing team we'll discuss. But if anything, that also shows it will imply when the Brahmas play, hey, I don't think they're a slouch either, which I think is the thing. Like the XFL conference, to me, I love my Panthers, but I am slightly more fascinated to see what happens with the XFL conference because I do think that is I think it's a slightly closer pairing. Not that I don't like my Michigan team, but, I still have my doubts. Maybe it's just my fandom, how I do it. But
well, it's the Stallions too, man. The Stallions are just scary.
It's Birmingham. Freaking Skip Holtz. Freaking John Chavis and his defense and how they mug people every single week. Like, it gives me nightmares, but we'll see. It's coming around the horizon. Now it's all about seeing if these two teams can kind of work out the kinks. Is all.
Yeah, I mean, we're less than a month away from the championship. That is super exciting. And
now what are they playing for, though? That's what we got this week, too.
Oh, yeah. Well, we got to get who's that number one seed. Like I said, it matters. Doesn't matter so much in the USFL conference, other than pride. Pride does go a long way, right?
I was trying to tease up our next piece as to what are they physically playing for.
Oh.
Now, if you want me to, before we do that,
bungling it right here.
Before we do that, must say, that XFL number one seeding home playoff game, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. Going and playing in San Antonio, good crowd, is much different than San Antonio going to play in what will be a great crowd. Notice the emphasis on how I had to put that in there.
Rowdy.
Yeah, massive deal if somehow the Brahmas can find a way. But, biggest hurdle on their schedule left from both of them is definitely this week. When we talk later, it's definitely this week.
Yep. But as you alluded to, what are they fighting for? What are they playing for in that championship game? Well, thanks to the United Football League, we finally have a view of what the new UFL Championship trophy looks like. We'll put it up here on the screen. And I got to say, Zach, I know there were some people worried out there. See, people get mad. People say, oh, ref, you're so biased. Tell me that XFL Championship trophy was, I don't want to say it was bad. It wasn't horrible. It wasn't ugly. I would never say that it was like a disastrous trophy, but it wasn't like something of beauty, right? The USFL Championship, again, maybe not the greatest championship trophy ever made, but I would say of the two, the USFL one was superior.
If
right?
the worst comparison for the trophies is one looks like a somewhat mock-up of the Lombardi, the other to me looks like an art deco piece that some high schooler
or
made.
A kitchen utility, maybe.
A whisk. One of them, I've seen people call it a kitchen whisk. Is all that's if those are the comps, I got to go with the one that looks like the Lombardi trophy. and also that was plated with silver. Remember,
Yeah.
it's got silver on it, plated in silver, brass trophy. It's a nice trophy. We saw it in person as well.
I held it in person.
Yeah, you held it in person.
I don't know why they
of
let
all
me
things.
hold it.
2022 was wild, by the way. I got to say, just a lot of moments that really are like, we're never going to probably do that stuff again, or it'll be hard to do. But like, trophy is up there. Like, you remember this. I felt scared to even touch the damn thing. I didn't
was like,
do
yeah,
it.
I'll take it.
Like, you got the photo, and you're like, hey, do it. I'm like, sorry. And the rest of the night went like that.
I feel like we could talk about it now because I mean the USFL's not here anymore. That was so funny because we were in the locker room after the championship live streaming. So I mean, if anybody was angry, they would have came and told us.
Shows also a difference in
Right.
how years have been.
We're in the hallway after it, and I just see the trophy standing on sitting on a pedestal with somebody watching it. I think it's somebody we know too, but I can't remember, so I don't want to name drop anybody. But I just looked. I was like, "Do you mind if I hold the trophy?" He's like, "Yeah, go for it." I was like, "Yeah, can I get a picture?" It's like, "Come on, Zach, do it." I don't know how that happened.
I took the photo. I got that. Dude, that whole day, like after the game, was just like some of it's a blur. Some of it's like remembering how just like very brain turned off moment-y it was.
Well,
but
that
the
was
trophy,
before.
yeah,
Go on.
the trophy instance was definitely the start of it. Like just.
That was such a crazy night, Zach. And we won't go into all the details.
No,
here,
we
but
could do a whole nother show of like reiterating what we've never talked about or like little talked about on here. But like trophy wise, that was a damn good trophy. This one, I'll admit, if it's a meeting in the middle one, like I would definitely I'll take this over if we had to pick one of the two and then made it the official and it happened to be the XFL one. And again, I know some of you talk, well, is that biased? No, look, I'm being honest. Mm-hmm. That one sucks. I'm just to me it sucks. You guys can say what you want. I wasn't a fan of it. But the new one, it's solid. You know, I like the construction. I get what they're doing. They're trying to do the edge of the logos. I think it represents the two conferences. Is how I look at it. Mm-hmm. You know, it's clean. It's not like a hulking mass or whatever. It's good. It does its job. And what's funny is just like people were talking, even our Discord, link in the description. They kind of teased at it. It's in the championship graphic. So, like, they kind of gave it away a little bit, which, I mean, why would you design it that way in the graphic if it's not going to be the trophy?
Right.
Like, it's like, oh, all right, interesting. And sure enough, 1 week later, they reveal that design.
Yeah. When I saw it initially in the I guess the iconography or the logo from the release that was out, I don't know, earlier this week, that I know a lot of people talked about it, and that was my thought. I was like, well, that has to be the trophy. It would be really weird if you had like one design here and a completely different design there. I will say I like it. It's simple. It's clean. It doesn't go too far. I know there's people that are fans of the original 2001 XFL Championship trophy. That's too much for me. The 2020 version of the trophy, although we never got to see it in real life, I think Sam Schwartzen ended up putting out designs of what it was supposed to look like. To me, that would have been one of the finest trophies in sports because it had like a glass football that fit into the X thing. It was a thing of beauty. Unfortunately, we never saw that. But when it comes down to the ones we saw, I am still kind of particular to the USFL one. Just I love that trophy design at the top there. But this, not bad. I mean, it's not like the XFL trophy. That was my worry that we would get something like real tiny. Because that was my other problem with the trophy, regardless of what it looked like with the XFL. It just seems just such an odd, I don't know. The proportions were weird for a sports trophy, if you ask me. I don't know. It feels like it should be long and not like stout, if that makes sense.
We had a good joke last year. I remember some of the Discord members were talking to, and they're like, "We should flip it upside down. It's like a cup, right? It's hollow in there. You should drink out of it like the Grey Cup in a way." I don't think any of them ever did, but you know, it was hollow. Like you could tell that you could put your thumbs under it and grip it. Mm-hmm. So I guess that's the one thing I wish I would have seen, but it never happened. Fun little fact, by the way, because you brought the 01 XFL trophy. And I got curious the other day, like, where the hell is this thing? So last thing that's on it is from 2011 on Sports Business Journal. And apparently, unless this has changed hands, it is residing with J.K. McKay in Pacific Palisades District of Los Angeles. That was in 2011, supposedly. Near, I guess we're talking talking college football legend here is what I've got. But yeah, he just happens to possess that. I don't know how, but it's I don't know if it's still there. It's been 13 years, but just fun little fact. That's the last reference of it.
I have a newer one. I got a newer one for you. Yeah. So when they did the ESPN 30 for 30 on the XFL.
Oh, that's right.
They did that pop-up museum. But that's not to say that they probably borrowed it from him.
Yeah, that was 2016, right?
Somewhere in
16,
there.
17 is when that 30 for 30 came out.
Yeah. So where it landed after that, it might have went back to him, or maybe they retained ownership to put it in the museum. So the mystery may still continue. Maybe we'll have to, you know what? I'll have to start putting some money out there. Maybe we can buy that and put that in the background here.
Because I want that. I have two football mysteries, and one of them is indeed that one. The other one is it's a little more complicated because I don't know. But like, if you remember, and we're gonna dive into arena ball a bit, so bear with me, people that are watching. In 2019, the Arena Football League had two trophies. Fun little fact: they had the cup, standard Arena Bowl trophy at the time, but they also introduced a belt, like a title belt, WWE style. They had all the teams on it, and they would add more teams onto it when they expanded. Now, my understanding is that the trophy is in San Jose with like former SaberCats owners. I don't know where the hell the belt's at. No one has been able to tell me. Like, even the people I trust to know that info, they're like, we don't know where the belt's gone. Nobody knows where this belt disappeared to. The last person to possess it were the Albany Empire before the current ownership that owned it, which is now the Firebirds. But that thing is gonzo. It is into the ether. And I desperately want to know where its whereabouts are. Somebody possesses this thing and does not want it to be out in the public eye, but I must find it. I have to know.
I'll tell you this. You know who would be able to find that? You won't know who the hell I'm talking about, but there might be some listeners who will. There's a guy, Conrad Thompson. He's married to Ric Flair's daughter. He runs a whole bunch of wrestling podcasts. This guy owns the craziest sports memorabilia, everything from the original big gold belt from WCW that's bent, that was missing for ages, like banners from the old ECW arena. And although it's football, he does have like boxing stuff, and I think he does have some football stuff. But for the mere fact that it's a wrestling belt, I might shoot Conrad Thompson a message and be like, hey, do you know who owns this? And I bet you he could find it. He might not know, but he has like deep into the ether of sports memorabilia, and he's got money, so that's how people answer.
I think
him.
It's worth a shot. If he reaches out, the only one I need to reach out to, I just don't know their connections, is and we'll get back on track after this, but just talking trophies, and it's just funny how this works. But like, the people who own the lacrosse team, or the like arena lacrosse team, the Albany Firewolves, they're the guys that owned the Empire back then. I must ask. Anyway, definitely, I think you should get on that hunt, because there's other, I don't know, there's a lot of stuff that kind of goes in and out. Like for example, if we're talking trophies football wise, like it made headlines several years ago when the Pro Football Hall of Fame was able to repossess one of the last USFL trophies. Like, we're talking the 80s with the helmet on the metal band kind of on top of the base, which that has to me kind of a cult following, it seems, in spring football circles, because of just how quirky it is. Like, people care about this stuff. Where is the belt, people? Start asking around. I must find this belt. It exists.
There's another belt we need to find too, Zach. So in 2020, I'll have to find the picture, but the Roughnecks had a wrestling belt made with the Roughnecks logo on it, and they used to bring it to when they would set up and try to sell tickets and stuff. Somebody has that belt. I'm in Houston. Come and find me. We'll do something. I'll make your day.
Come and get me. That, man. That's like golden era, like what's kicked things off into how we're experiencing things today. would be better times for Roughnecks fans as well to go back to 2020.
I don't want to think about
way.
that. I just want
Before
my belt.
the name of certain thing that happened, I'm mentioning because, that's how it is. But, yeah, trophy time. Like, UFL trophy, it's the next step in trophy mania. One thing I do got to ask you, and, again, I like the Discord discussions this week. There's a lot of people kind of debating things that I'm like, hey, let's talk about this on the show. So it was brought up this week. Do they use the old trophies as conference trophies now?
I was thinking about that. I feel like they should, except for the damn XFL one.
I'll live with it, but
Yeah.
it's there.
Good. Exactly. You don't have to spend any money. They already exist. They're
They
good.
never got plates for the years on them either. They've been saying the league name on them too. So there's no dating on it or anything either you have to worry about.
Yeah. So, they should have something. Let me say that. They should have something for each of those teams. And considering that they're already made, then why not? I would have to look at the XFL one, though. Did the XFL one specifically call out the date? I guess you could pull that plate off if they did.
I don't think it did. I just checked this before going on the show.
Yeah, I don't think so. I'm just looking it up now because it's been a while since I've. Oh man, I just came across that one from 2020 though. That thing is so beautiful.
I'm looking at it again. It's it's
not as bad as I remember it. It's not that bad. Why am I so mean?
I'm still not a fan of it. I'm looking at it again. I think what doesn't help for me, so there's photos of it with and without the extended base on it. Like if you look at where it's hoisted up during the championship game when Bob Stoops is holding it, it has it where the two bands you can remove. Because there's a picture of it with just the black base with the XFL. I like it better without it because if you have the extension, it looks way more like a toy. Mm-hmm. Whereas without it, it does look a little bit more promising. The football still looks like a freaking whisk, like if you're baking something. But
here's where the extension to me would bring some value and make it cool, is if they treated it like the Stanley Cup, to where every year they add a new band to. Now again, this is conference, you know what I mean, but. God, that would be neat. Maybe that was the idea for it, and then with the merger, things kind of changed. I don't like the gold X on it. I think that throws me off a little bit because it's not like gold. It looks like it's just gold paint, and which leading to the new trophy. So when we look at the USFL trophy, that was There was what? Bronze.
So, the USFL one was bronze plated in silver.
Yep. And then the new UFL one is
solid aluminum.
Solid aluminum. So, there's some arguments that could be made there either way. It looks clean. It looks modern. It doesn't look egregious. To me, when it comes to trophy designs, you almost have to you have to look at the design, not for today, but 10 years from now.
That's the main deal,
right?
Which we're trying to talk about future more often than trying to talk about short term anymore. Mm-hmm. And it's not going to look goofy. It looks for future forward. It's fine. It looks solid. One of the sites actually that's gotten the photos of it from the PR, they have the freaking dimensions of it, by inches. So, getting technical. This thing, yeah.
I can't wait to see it in real life. That I'm excited to see. And
too.
Like I said, soon. Championship is right around the corner. But we have some more news. So I guess we'll just keep moving here. We're going into week 8. We got a big old week 8 in front of us.
It's week 8.
People are sitting there and saying, well, what's the point? Why do I have to watch? The playoffs are already set. Well, there's a couple reasons. One, we want to support this big, beautiful league, this BBL of ours. We want to make sure that they're around for season 2, 3, and 4. And you know what? Watching these games goes a long way. I get not everybody watches every game like I do, Zach, a lot of the people in our Discord, but it does help. This week, you don't have the choice to watch all the games unless you're using your computer, but we'll get to that a little bit later. But the first game up, St. Louis Battlehawks, Arlington Renegades. We got a noon game, nice and early, noon Eastern, in Arlington. So again, they're going to get their championship rings the night before. They're going in and get playing the Battlehawks. I think you were able to confirm via, I don't know if it was James that put it out, but McCarron's back up this week. Is that correct?
Yeah. So our own resident insider, a good friend of our own show on the PFN Ecos, James Larson, has stated that McCarron is going to be the backup this week against the Renegades. They will start Manny Wilkins again, which, I mean, Wilkins, all things considered, first start, got the job done and was pretty solid in performance. So not to mention, with everything secured, you're still fighting, in this case, for home field advantage. Doesn't hurt. Ankle injury specifically for a guy that needs to be able to plant correctly, to throw passes on a dime, and to be able to scramble better with the amount of time they've got now that they have their playoff spot locked up. Doesn't hurt to give him an extra week, and it's reserved. So even if he can't go, like if Wilkins gets injured mid-game, they still have him there. It's just the hope is they don't have to deal with that, But yes, that is confirmed. That is, he will be backing up. He's at least active for this week. He's not like a reserve QB. Just know he's not going to be in. Hopefully he won't have to be in if Anthony Becht and Bruce Gradkowski don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, at this point, you kind of want to let him rest, get into his best shape before you get to the postseason. You already locked that in. You're going against the Renegades, who haven't maybe not had the strongest season. Manny Wilkins did win last week. That is correct, Zach. He did struggle. There was some points in the game where he was struggling to get those passes off. Whenever he was close to the end zone, it was a little bit of a struggle.
Scrambling saves him a lot. That's the main thing.
But I think the biggest thing to remember with that is, well, one, they still got the win. It doesn't matter, right?
That too.
Clean, not clean. If it's a win at the end, it's a win. So they secured their playoff spot because of that. And, I mean, it was his first week coming in. So, you know what? If anything, I would probably play Manny Wilkins for the most of the rest of the year. Let McCarron rest. But, you know what? It gives you a few weeks to get some packages around Wilkins. Get those jitters out, just in case you need him in the postseason. Right?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Because what you don't want to happen is what we saw happen with the Philadelphia Stars in the championship against the Stallions, where they were rocking and rolling. It was a close game. Case Cookus gets hurt, and then you have to bring in a guy that maybe hadn't played as much as the team would have wanted him to coming into that game, at least in such a big game, right? So,
yeah.
I'll say this, though. The Renegades, I'm still not counting them out on this week. Especially if anything, the morale. They're going to get those rings the night before. They're going to go into their game, and you know what? They want to get a win with this home crowd, get them jived up. You know what? There might not be a playoff to play for this year, but there is next season, and you want those fans to come back. And same with Houston. I expect Houston, we'll get into that. I want Houston to show up this week because you know what? You want these guys to go. It's our last home game of the season. Let's go out with a bang, Yeah,
and actually, damn it, we were goofs. This is week 9. I blame old notes for.
Oh yeah,
us goofing around.
Oh my goodness.
So people already, I know, are going to be in our comments going, "Dude, this is week 8." No, we trust me. I was curious out of my head. Yes, we are in week 9, people. So pack up. And yes, it is the last home game of the season as well.
Well, let me tell you why I keep thinking week 8 and not week 9 is because Ref's Law is 8 out of 9 right now, and I just ignore that week that Ref's Law was not accurate. That didn't happen. I don't know what's going on here. But I'll tell you this. So we're real quick since we're talking about Ref's Law. 87.5% right now.
That's baddie.
This weekend, as we're going to get into, guaranteed Ref's Law game. So that means we're really at 88.8 repeating percent. It all comes down to next week if we're 90% or not.
That is wild. I'll give you that. This year it's been killing it. I'm sorry, it has. We'll talk about that later for sure. My God, but like clearly on a different path with that. Last things I got to say. So like Battlehawks, Renegades, you got Wilkins in. Even with Mount McCarron. I mean, look, we talked. You and I had said maybe somewhat infamously last week that Brahmas weren't going to walk away with a win at home. They were going to take the loss. And quite frankly, Arlington did everything in their power first half to just not stay in that game when it mattered most.
Yeah.
I mean, same for San Antonio second half, basically going, missed field goal after missed field goal. Yeah, let's make it interesting. Why not?
Yeah.
So there is that. They still do possess in terms of passing. Luis Perez still most passing yards in the league. It just feels like the last week receivers were off target. Like we're off target a lot more so than the week prior in recent games. Sal Cannella still doing Sal Cannella things, of course, but Arlington's defense, I don't trust with the scrambles, honestly. I mean, sure, Wilkins wasn't great as a passer at times last week, but now you got to contend with him being just straight up available to scramble at will. I don't know if that's going to bode well, not to mention the Renegades are terrible at rush defense as we've always as we've been expecting this year. Can't say I'm going to see a win here, you know. Last week they showed reared their ugly heads as to saying, "Oh yeah, there's a reason why they're 1-7 and are in the midst of fighting right now to not be the first overall pick in next year's collegiate draft."
Yeah. Now, I will say this. I really do want the Renegades to win this game and Houston and Memphis to lose just so we get the Pooper Bowl next week.
Please.
But I don't know, man. Although I'm not counting out the Renegades just yet, the fact that the Battlehawks won last week without McCarron, although sloppy at points, they still won.
Well, now you got 2 weeks where it's under your belt. The one thing that might save, as much as I don't trust Arlington's defense whatsoever, but what might save them is now they had a full week of film with Wilkins. As we've talked through the last several years and even this year, very much so. Teams like to have more film when they're evaluating for guys. And so seeing what Manny did last week in a game setting where it's like, oh, his tendency is he's going to run more, or Bruce Gatkowski's going to get him more mobile than A.J. McCarron, or, you know, he's not as great with getting passes and looking and finding reads, so we just need to contain him in the pocket. Harder said than done. St. Louis's offensive line is arguably one of the top 2 best in the league right now, but that's the silver lining is maybe with a week gone, now the brand new uncertainty of last week is kind of taken away, where you hope Bob Stoops and Jonathan Hayes kind of look at it and go, okay, maybe there's something we can do here.
Yep. It'll be a fun game to watch, interesting to watch, because again, there is like weird little storylines tied into this too. Cause like you said, the Battlehawks are fighting for that number 1 seed. I think the Battlehawks are going to win it, but I mean, let's say the Battlehawks lose, right? Well, who are you picking in this game?
I'm going to go. I mean, yeah, I'm going with St. Louis. If Arlington, I thought was going to get some momentum, but clearly they're back to some incompetencies at certain parts. But yeah, go ahead. We both have Battlehawks, so that's the first step.
So let's just say we're wrong. Let's say the Battlehawks lose, right? To me, it makes the next game real interesting because Birmingham is going to be looking at that of, okay, they could potentially have a play on who gets the number 1 seed, who gets advantage in the playoffs, and eventually who that they might play in the championship game pending they get past the Panthers, right? And so, one, they need to take a loss. Where it gets tricky is next week they're playing the Panthers too, to where they're probably not going to want to show too much of their hand there as well. But I mean, the one thing that they can afford is to lose 2 games. Why? Because even if they don't get the number 1 seed, they're still playing in Birmingham, right? And so they could essentially maybe not let the Brahmas win, but maybe not play as hard as they normally would. If the Brahmas get a win, then they're in the number 1 seed over the Battlehawks. Then it comes down to week 10 to where if the Battlehawks win, the Brahmas lose. I assume the Battlehawks will get it with just the amount of points that they've thrown up as far as the tiebreaker, but.
Right, and to correct myself, Jay Hayes, I mix him up and his brother Jonathan a lot. But yeah, again, like I said, Jay Hayes, you have a week now of film where you can analyze things. I will say, for your sake, this is the time of the year where everything is locked up now for certain teams, so you got to keep guys mentally fresh. Is the deal. St. Louis, it's a little different, where Anthony Becht and them are trying to secure that St. Louis home opener for the playoffs so that they can basically have a home stretch if they ran it to the championship, and that's the difference that's key. For Birmingham, when we talk this game next, we know where they're going. I know that all the I know all the commentators and all the sites are going, well, they're trying to secure. Guys, they already released out that there is a scheduling conflict. It's going to be in Birmingham, so it does not matter. The only thing that would maybe matter is the jersey color, but that's not going to change the atmosphere. It's in Birmingham. They're going to play a protective field. So it's a little different, which then that's like you're talking is, do you see a slip? Is there a mental slip there? Because you already know what's certain. You're basically waiting, 3 weeks to play your opponent at that point. You still have Michigan's kind of the same way. So except the little difference there is they're still testing out quarterbacks.
Right.
So unlike Birmingham, who has everything locked up, Michigan at least has something that they're playing to kind of discover what they can do, who might be the best to take that one shot at Birmingham and then see if they can then make it a week later. Tough to say. But, St. Louis, I got them winning. Arlington's going to have their hands full. Luis Perez, you hope everybody's on the same page and that they can be in a firefight. The only way Arlington wins is if they can make this a shootout in some way. If they can't make it a shootout, Battlehawks will win by war of attrition. That's what's going to happen. Which is hard to say because that's the number 2 defense in the UFL. So good luck with that. But that's the only way you win. It has to be a shootout. And they're going to have to play their best offensive game of the year. Honestly, if they can somehow find a way to get a Memphis performance, that's their only hope to me.
Right. Well, that's the thing. We've seen the Renegades play.
They can put up yards. That's the thing. It's just executing,
Getting past that fourth quarter, right, and getting the win. But you know what? Like you said, Zach, we're near the end season. Things are locked in. This is where these types of things happen.
Yeah.
Now looking towards later in the afternoon, 3 p.m. Saturday, we have the Stallions in San Antonio taking on the Brahmas. Again, on paper, it feels like the Stallions should walk away with this game, but the Brahmas are crazy, man. The Brahmas do somehow. That. Well, they're not the best team in the world, but they do get the wins. They do relatively well. There's games that they shouldn't win that they win. And again, the Stallions, not that they're going to be resting their guys because I don't think they will, but they might be taking things a little bit slower just to let's not get injured 2 weeks before the playoffs, right? So go out there, do what you need to do, but stay safe, play smart. The Stallions, though, they just are the team that can't be beat, it seems like. Not to say that they cannot be beat, because I think they can. I don't know if this is the week to do it. The Brahmas, I'll even look back 2 weeks ago against the Roughnecks. They beat the Roughnecks barely. It took them until the last second to get, from the 13-point turnaround in the fourth quarter. But they did it, and they got it done. And they've had a few games like that this year where it didn't look pretty, but at the end, the W was in the right column. So I wouldn't count them out. They are in San Antonio, so they do have a home crowd in front of them. I don't know. It just feels like the Stallions are still going to win. The Stallions, if the Stallions are going to lose any game this season, and let's say they only lose one game, if it's going to be any game this season, it's next week against the Panthers. And I think that's by design, partially because they're not going to want to play their hand in front of the team that they're going to play a week later for a chance to go to their third consecutive championship game. That's my take.
Maybe.
But they could lose both. That's not to say that.
I think this is one they can't slouch on. If you are, there's nothing to play for them. They're locked up. So this is more of, you're sizing up your competition is what's going to happen. For San Antonio, I think they're going to play hungry because look, they're 5-2. They still have something to play for. Right now, they are not going to have home field advantage if they were to stay record same across the board. Tiebreakers reveal that, by the way. But for the Brahmas, not only that, but they're getting healthier. So they're going to have guys that are coming back and are going to need time to get in and inundated. And I think they might have to pull their best or throw their best punches here in early to keep things going and to keep up with the Battlehawks. For those that maybe didn't see, Chase Garbers is activated off IR. Now, there hasn't been much with the practice reports this week up to us talking now. That could change. We record on Thursday, and some stuff might come out to where we see new practice reports. But the Tuesday practice report shows Garbers was limited in practice. Now, I might be overthinking this, and maybe they are conservative and they hold back and they start Quentin Dormady and they let him play against the Stallions. But look, if there is any shot this man is healthy enough to step on the field and he feels like he's ready to go with that wrist injury and that he can go out there and play to where they feel like there's a better chance to be Birmingham and to keep up in that first seed, don't be surprised if Chase Garbers is back and suits up this week. I would not be shocked. You guys know, seeing the comparison, he was the more steady hand of the two quarterbacks. I imagine A.J. Smith, as we've seen in years past with the Roughnecks last year, and I would imagine less so because the camera hasn't caught it at times, but he gets frustrated when the play's not up to snuff. And Garbers was up to snuff. Clearly, they want some stability there a little bit more. Last week, they did move the ball down the field better. Thing was, they couldn't execute in the red zone, led to missed field goals and missed opportunities. I think they start Garbers if he's healthy, and they get him in there, and they take the best shot they can at the top dog in the league to try and get a win and to keep up and to establish who is not completely counted out. Because a lot of this talk has been that it's Stallions, Battlehawks, guaranteed they're going to St. Louis. And while I do think that is the matchup, I think everyone does agree, San Antonio is the dark horse to be in the XFL. They remember, guys, the game that Garbers got knocked out, it was a one-possession game. Things did not go the way that they wanted to on the defensive end. They lost basically because it was just one possession difference was the deal. I think they start Garbers this week. Also, Anthony McFarland being healthy, we saw last week, is massive to have him in. So Birmingham's going to have their hands full. John Chavik's going to have his hands full there, trying to maintain that element of that offense because he is great out of the backfield, but more so, and much more so, he is really good in the open field passing game. And Birmingham defensively is going to have to play tight defense. They're going to have to get guys down and tackled, less yards after the catch. It's going to be a huge challenge this week. If Garbers is in, don't expect many sacks. Unlike Quentin Dormady, Chase, that's one thing they benefit off of. He's great at doing the 1-2 reads that AJ loves with his offense, where they basically say, hey, this ball needs to be out. Like, screw the 3-second rule with blocking. We're going to get out in like 2 seconds, like arena football style rules. It is gone. There's no sacks. We try and keep the ball moving. So this is a much more fun, even more fun of a matchup than I like to say on paper, just because I think with Garbers in, it makes it very fascinating. Birmingham, last week defensively, I didn't like what I saw, and credit every team has an off week. And credit, even the offense had a bit of an off week, even scoring 35 and, Adrian Martinez having 5 touchdowns and whatnot, but can't slack off. This is where you're talking right here. This is the time of the year that in the last several years, Birmingham, at least in 2022, same deal. Week 9, they slipped up. That was their one loss. Credit, it's not Houston, but, hey, mental gaps and kind of like getting comfortable. That's where you can see losses like this. And that Brahmas team's going to be hungrier. At least I feel like on paper, that's the hungrier team that I would think worries me for an upset right there. And credit, Vegas doesn't say the same. I know I'm being more betting in last few games, but I'm not going to use ESPN Bet because I hate ESPN's use of it. DraftKings has them at a 8.5-point underdog. Now, tell me, Stefan, does that sound like a Brahmas team that has been playing this way all year? Because last I checked, they haven't really lost by anywhere below 7 this season.
No. I mean, that's where you make your opportunities money-wise when it comes to bets on those anomalies and the missteps. And I think that's why there's a certain set of gamblers that love spring football, because if you understand the game enough, man, you can get in and get the win. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I mean, the argument would be the Stallions are the unbeaten. They're so good and this and that. And they are, don't get me wrong. But I think there's something to what you're saying here, Zach. That hunger on the field, you couple that with a home team advantage. And look, San Antonio really is going to want to rather play in their dome than the one up north in St. Louis come the playoffs. And like I said, even from the Stallions' perspective, they might look at it and say, well, we really don't want to play St. Louis in the championship either. And so even subconsciously, The Brahmas get a win. If St. Louis loses this week, now we're into week 10 on things are interesting. And so, although it's not who's going to be in the playoffs, there's still things at stake here. Now, if they both win this week, it's still on the table. But if the Brahmas lose and the Battlehawks win, I think that's probably...
It would be over at that point because tiebreakers would, even if they got them where it's exchanged it in week 10, St. Louis is easily ahead in the tiebreaker category in a few of those. So it's a must win. They have to keep up as well. Tell you, Will Reed, I think this will be his biggest challenge of the year is with Adrian Martinez. That's the key. How do they rattle Adrian Martinez and get him off his game to where he doesn't look as crisp as he has been? It's hard to say because, like, even if you've seen it, he does a great job weaseling out of pressure. He can run when he needs to, but he can also throw. It's not that he's a running QB. This isn't a Manny Wilkins situation. This guy legitimately can deliver on a rope. How do you stop that?
Here, you want to know how you stop it? You get Kevin Kugler to go into Coog's corner on TV and say, Adrian Martinez is playing like a whole new player. Look at all these mistakes he played in college. Did you know he's barely thrown any interceptions since this whole season? Oh, there it goes. There it goes. I'm like, oh, Kugler. As he was saying, I'm like, no, stop what you're doing. I know you're in broadcast. You know what you're doing. Someone at Fox is
so
like,
good.
I'm like, oh my God. And there it was, right? Mid-sentence. Oh, he just doesn't make those mistakes. Oh my God, he threw an interception.
He looks so good.
No.
Can you believe that?
It's like when they're going for the kick. He hasn't missed a field goal all season. Shut up. Shut up, will you? And don't you ever say perfect game in baseball or I'll come after you if it's my team, all right? Don't.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. Anyway.
Fun fact, and something we talk defense. Part of this is with Adrian Martinez. Birmingham is a 51% completion rate of third down attempts. They are only one of two teams that have completed over half their attempts. The other one, take a guess.
Brahmas?
No.
Who?
Arlington.
Oh,
Somehow.
Interesting.
Yeah, the Brahmas actually are the second worst. So if you get them in third down conversions, they have not. And credit, Garber's being gone might play into that, but they're the only one worse than them. Take a guess.
I don't know it, but I was about to say, let me guess who the worst one is. Is
you might
it
be
Houston?
Surprised. No, it's not Houston.
Oh, really?
It's not Houston.
Oh, wow.
Give you one more.
Showboats?
Nope.
Oh, wait.
DC. 34% completion rate on third downs.
My goodness. I thought for sure it'd be Houston because they have like the least amount of yards.
Houston is fifth, but it's like they're jumbled up with Michigan, St. Louis. Funny enough, St. Louis has a worse attempt completion than Houston by like 0.8%.
Oof.
And then it's San Antonio at 36 flat. So yeah,
interesting.
Fun facts of the day. Mr. Digits moment. I won't pull the glasses out for this show. That's for around the UFL. But yeah, I think that's another telltale sign. How do you stop a third down conversion machine with Birmingham? Not only are they the top offense in the league, but they also are the best at converting. So like even if you stall them out and get them in deep 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7. They'll just whip it down there and get a quick pass. Like, that's it. Or Adrian just runs out of the pocket. Matt Corral sometimes. Mm-hmm. It's hard to say. It's a really daunting Skip Holtz offense. He has such a grasp on the entire thing.
Yeah, you can't mess with Holtz when it comes to coaching. I mean, even if I hated that team, I couldn't hate Skip Holtz. He is, well, one, I
couldn't hate a punter either, but
Yeah. He's just a nice damn guy. I have no choice but to respect him. And honestly, I think the Stallions are going to get the win this week. Like I said, I'm sticking to if they're taking any loss this year, which they should do. Skip Holtz's wife, if you're still watching, tell your husband, take a loss this season. I know, I get it. He doesn't think about wins, losses, past or present. He's on that 1-0 grind, right? I understand. It would be super impressive if you sweep
Jennifer, if you're watching, because she does watch the show. She has told us in the past she does watch the show. Hey, just reiterate to your husband that a mental acuity is going to be very important. A mental stimulation will be very important for the players this week.
While you're at it, remind him that he's a week late on that loss. It should have been.
Last week.
Yeah.
I mean, it was close. They were down inside the 30. Just gave up a sack to DeMarcus Gates coming off the edge with no blocker.
Could have been it.
That's what happened.
But I think the Stallions get it this week. I think the Brahmas. I mean, they're going to have to hope that the Renegades pull it out.
I'm the same way, but I think, clearly on paper, it's looking like the best match of the week. But I do think Garbers plays, and I think it makes it very nail biting till the end. I think it'll be. With the players that are getting healthy for them, they're gonna this weekend have fun. Now, if it's Quentin Normandy, I'm completely different. But I'm feeling that Garbers plays this week because it's that important, and they want to get him back in. So
yeah. I mean, it could be similar to the St. Louis Stallions game, which would then it comes down to, well, if the Stallions make it, we're really looking towards a fun championship. But we'll see. We will see.
Previews.
So you said Stallions. We're both doing.
Yeah,
Stallions
we're both
here?
Stallions. It's gonna be a tight one though, man. No blowouts. No 8.5 dog crap.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be close.
Yeah, it's gonna be close. I hate to even say this. Take the plus spread. I'm a better now. I'm a degenerate. It's over.
Get that money.
It's over. Anyway, Sunday. Oh no, get ready. Some people would say the dreaded regional games. They're here. We're back at it once more. I know some people have had their words about these. It is on Fox. We haven't totally broken down, it seems, yet on what markets are going to have what. I've had to take a stab at it though. I'm going to say they favor the Michigan markets a bit, or Michigan a bit more, because as we've seen in ratings, the Panthers, they have been pulling more of the ratings for teams. But beyond that being said, we'll go down the list as it's listed on the site. DC takes on Memphis this week. Showboat's home game. The spatulas are back, by the way.
Yeah.
That is the promo that was popular last year. Go get yourself a spatula and go hopefully see if you can get a win. Although, looking kind of hard these days for them. Josh Love season? It's something, perhaps?
Maybe. You know what? Say what you want about Josh Love, but he came into that game. What did he do? He scored a touchdown.
He did.
Right away.
He did. Kept the ship running,
Kept it going. Josh Love's one of those guys. He's good enough, right? And you know what? Sometimes that's good enough to be dangerous. He was with the Panthers last year. You guys got to the playoffs. Some would argue that that wasn't because of Josh Love, but to a certain extent it was.
It counts.
I
he
mean,
was on the roster the whole year.
Exactly.
I got to give him that. 9 starts. I can't give him flack for that, so.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But this game here, I mean, realistically, there's not much on the line for either of these guys. Memphis, if anything, Memphis probably just wants to lose this game to get a better pick, quite honestly.
If you're a Showboats fan, do you dare think that a loss is better for the franchise?
I don't know what is
dare
going
we
to help
go into
them.
Tanking territory here?
Now, I don't know if it's going to matter though, because I think the defenders although there's not much to play for, there is pride.
There is.
And I feel like they're going to look at this game, at least Coach Barlow is, and say, okay, this is how we get our groove back, just like Stella. And we look at this and we just beat up the no-show boats. Now, will it happen? Will it not happen? I don't know. Things haven't really gone the defenders' way. Going back to the beginning of the season when the guy hit with the injury bug, and then they haven't been able to find their way. They haven't been able to find their rhythm. They just haven't been able to be that defenders team that we saw last year that was 9-1, went to the championship, and got shocked by the Arlington Renegades.
Stop and starts, man. Just consistent stop and start year. That's all it's been.
Yeah. But the Showboats, I mean, they started and then they stopped. That was that was it. They started and then they stopped and that was it.
You and I went to the one lone win this year. Who would have thought week 1 would be the lone W that gets on the board for this
The
team?
only game they weren't supposed to win is the one that they won.
Right, go figure. Such promise now depleted. But I tell you what, DC, I think they get a win here. I don't doubt they do. I don't trust anything Memphis right now that isn't outside of like David Davis catching a pass and going for a touchdown. By the way, receiving TD leader in the league right now with 5 touchdown passes after last week, and has definitely been showing up second in receiving yards too since they've started having him as the number 1 option. Beyond him, what do I trust here? Not much. I mean, defensively, it has consistently been a wet paper towel in the run game this season. Even then, passing game has been almost utterly abysmal on the same stretch. I mean, I don't got much to really rest my hat on. Worst pass defense in the league, 6th worst rushing defense in the league by accounts. Last several weeks has been just endless running game on top of them. Had 2 different quarterbacks in for the Panthers, and granted, they did rally a bit. But DC, I will say, if there's one thing I trust them a bit more, they do have a bit better of a pass rush than Michigan, surprisingly. Just, it's not stacking well. Even for a team like the Defenders, who I don't know what drive they're going to look like. One drive, it's, oh my God, this looks like the smoothest damn offense in the world. Next moment, Jordan Tom, who's overthrowing a pass, and Sam Acho's overanalyzing it as well. The safety clearly was aware of the route. Sorry, I had to bring that up because it was a terrible... The analysis on that play, I was sitting at home watching it, and he goes, oh, that safety did a great job. And like they go to the sideline and they talk to him. He's like, well, it was an overthrow. I'm like, yeah, because it was an overthrow. But what do you trust? Do you trust any of this?
No.
Memphis?
I mean, this game,
Honestly.
this could be either team really, but Memphis, I don't know, man. I think... So I like Flip, but I think that they definitely need to shake up maybe some of the coaching areas in there. I hate to be that guy. I don't like people moving in and out of positions, but something needs to change with that defense. It just has to. Something needs to change with the offense a little bit too, not going to lie. I will say that they have been able to put up points, but maybe not as consistently as they wanted. Now, when we look at the first game of the season, though, one of the things that I thought that they were going to be dangerous on was the amount of time that they held possession of that ball. Because that first drive, they held it for like 9 minutes, and then they had like another 7 or 8 minute drive. Like they were holding on to the ball like ball hogs in Houston week 1. We didn't see any of that the rest of the season. There's been kind of moments and backs and forths, but I don't know if I trust anything on the Showboats other than a select few players. I do trust that Coach Flip is the right guy, but maybe make some adjustments. I'll tell you this, if you had Jaron Horton on that team, whether he's the head coach or an assistant or defensive coordinator, it's hard to argue that they would get worse, right? They would only get better. And yeah, I think of the people he could bring in too when it comes to like, why the hell has Boogie Roberts not gotten a shot this year? What? And I mean, that's just one of the names, but I mean, you could essentially somebody had the opportunity to take all of the Pittsburgh Maulers defense in this draft, and they didn't. Right?
A lot of
bits
them
and pieces of it.
I mean, a lot of them went to places, just not all of them stuck. And I mean, look,
right.
Showboats, it's like you're talking. This is a pride thing. It's too little, too late. You know, the most they're competing for is to not be the number 1 overall pick and to have that worst record stain on their shoulder if they have to go into the end of the year. If anything, just some positive energy going out in the next season. You know, there's a lot of that talk about the fan bases and how they're doing and the interest. And 1-7 is hard to sell tickets for, I'll be honest, unless we're diehards. But just get some positive energy. I imagine Flip's already talking that way. And hopefully Carnell Lake's trying to at least redeem some part of the year and get these guys to where they can play and get another win under their belt. I don't know. Staffing changes to them are definitely underway, I think, much like our next matchup with Houston, though I actually feel a little more confident that the Roughnecks could have a shot at taking a win against Michigan compared to DC playing Memphis, per se. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, Memphis, like I said, David Davis, he's come on strong. It's been a really good story. You know, don't worry. Greg Reeves and company on defense, it's just has not been consistent. John Atkins, I haven't heard his name really called as a highlight guy this much this year, and he was stuffing the interior line last year and being a big, massive presence, and it just hasn't materialized. Things have just fallen apart. So, yeah, hard to say. I've got DC. I don't think it'll be close, really. we haven't really been saying scores, but I'm at least going to say it's going to be double-digit win for the Defenders. Maybe Josh Love plays consistent enough to where they keep him at bay. There's a chance. I just don't trust the Showboats. That's all I can tell you. Just sounds depressing when I talk about them anymore because of all the hype. So much hype.
I know. We all had them marked, maybe not top, but high middle of the pack.
Yeah.
Right? Between
They're up there.
3 and 5 at
We thought
worst.
we thought they'd be the second playoff team in the USFL. I was not expecting Michigan to be 5-2 this year. I was expecting Memphis to be that team that maybe would steal one or be up there at Birmingham, but no.
I mean, all our predictions are off. We all thought the Roughnecks were going to go 12-0, and we saw how well our predictions went.
Yes, we all certainly did.
Because it was our prediction.
Preseason games have been aplenty this season for the Roughnecks.
Yeah, I know. We've only had one regular season game. It's not fair. Everybody else has had a whole season.
When are they getting scheduled a regular season? It's weird. The league office is treating them so weird. I don't understand.
What are they doing at this new league? Here, we'll give you one regular season game in the middle. Oh, that's it. Now back to preseason. But yeah, I'm with you. I think the Defenders pull this out. The no Showboats continue. I think the Showboats' best chance of winning another game is going to be in Week 10, unfortunately. But I also think that I won't say the Houston Roughnecks' best chance of winning another game is Week 10, but if they don't pull it out this week, it is.
Well, let's see what you think about this. So yeah, Michigan taking on the Roughnecks. They're going to Houston in Houston, by the way. So last home game of the year for the Roughnecks because Memphis will get back-to-back. They get to host the Roughnecks to end the year over there. But Houston gets a final game. By the way, great deal you're going to get if you go to a game. That just was announced as we're recording today. $100 gets you a mini football, sweatpants, a sweatshirt, and tickets to the game.
10 tickets.
Yeah,
10
$100.
Tickets. So you're getting $10 tickets plus, like, even if you don't have 9 friends, you could go buy a ticket for you and another friend and get all the swag and just give out the tickets. Find somebody, or now you got extra space around you.
We got you, Brett. Great deal out there. That's one that raised my eyebrows. I would be buying them if I was in the neighborhood. Straight up. I know you're going to be out there. You've already said so.
Yeah, I'll be out there. I'll be having fun. We'll be out there with the ref cam. They got a big party on the field after the game. It says that the players and the coaches are going to be out there to mingle. We will see, because I heard there was a different story in Arlington. Apparently, or was it Arlington or was it San Antonio? Where was James last week?
James was in Michigan, wasn't he?
No, James Baker. Sorry, I assume that
Baker,
which James I'm talking about.
Yeah, he would have been in San Antonio because they weren't in Arlington last week for home game. Mm-hmm.
That's right. Yeah, he missed the end of the game. I told him the Renegades were winning.
Oh, you! Ow! That's cruel.
And this is why you all should be in the Discord. Link down below. We're always having fun. I told everybody to wake up this morning, and they didn't know why. And then we got the championship trophy. Little did they know, that's not why I told everyone to wake up, but they thought it was. So go in the Discord. You never know what we got. Ducky in there. We got Zach's in there. I'm in there. James is in there. We got so many fun people. We even got our friends from UFM in there. Like, we got a little bit of everything. And, you never know who you're going to bump into.
Goofy stories aplenty, man. That's what happens in that Discord every week. Every day. Every single day. It is a bunch of goofballs, crazies talking this wonderful game that is spring football here. So great ticket deal in Houston as well. So again, any of our guys like yourself going to be out there, and I hope that this time they do not do anything that's funky with people that are wanting to go on the field to meet up with fans. But that being said, Michigan coming into town. We kind of talked about this on ATU a little bit this week, but the QB discussion for the Panthers is very much up in the air. It seems like, and I do agree, that Bryce Wilkins is kind of taking the reins right now to be the guy that's going to be the momentum driver into the playoffs for the Panthers. That being said, Danny Etling, they're still letting him try and get healthy. And then Brian Lewerke's had his moments too. But I will say, Houston's best performance of the year, sans beating the Renegades, to me, was last week against the top dog in the Stallions. And I'm wondering if that is something you can rally the troops behind. I mean, I would say it is, but that also is me asking, can they put a game that was within one decent drive, possibly perfect, together against a opponent that I think is at least half a step to a step below what the Birmingham Stallions are? Mm-hmm. Like, that's my question for you. Cause I mean,
they can.
Yeah. I think there's opportunities. I mean, look, I've talked about it. Michigan's pass defense, it's not the best. You just got to keep Houston. We've talked about it. Keep them in and on time, on schedule, in drives. And remember, sans a 7-sack performance against the Showboats this year for the Panthers, they have been terrible at getting a pass rush. Like, they are one of the worst pass rush teams in the UFL. Like I said, there's one game that's an outlier, and it's that 7-sack game against the Showboats back in week 5. Give a little bit of protection, see what you can do. This game is much more winnable than the other 2-1-7 teams on the roster this week to me.
And I think there's another element to it too. And it's a silly one, but it matters a little bit nonetheless. It is the Roughnecks' last home game. And they are going to want to go out there and give those fans a win, because they know everything, down from the coaches to the players to the water boys to the marketing people to the people selling hot dogs, all know this is not the season that we wanted, right? And so when it comes down to this, you kind of have to put on a smile, go out there and give the fans at least a win to end out the season. Sure, we got to beat the reigning XFL champions at home in Houston, but that was it. We want one more win. Again, go on the field, celebrate with the players and the coaches. And you know what? I think it's going to be a close one. And I think they're going to be the anti-Houston. I think they're going to do what usually happens to Houston, and that is that they're going to win at the end of the game. They might, not to say that they're going to be trailing the whole game, but I think that they will get that play. They will have possession of the ball in the final minutes of the game to wrap it up. Michigan and same thing to kind of stand up my point to that too, is Michigan's in an interesting spot. Do they need to win? Sure, they want to win to have the pride of the number 1 seed, but is it going to make a difference? Only jersey colors at most, right? They're not going to be playing in Michigan. They're going to be playing in Birmingham either way. To me, this allows them, if you take the getting the win part of the game out of your head, at least for this one, because you have your playoffs locked, it's not that you're not going out there to win or play effectively, but you almost use it as experimental time. Like you mentioned, get those packages around Perkins. Let's get him some more playing time. Maybe even bring in Lewerke for some of the, get all of these guys playoff ready to where it's more of running drills and testing out plays than it is trying to win the game. You might muck around and accidentally win it. That's not to say that you won't. But I think that opens up a door for Houston to capitalize on them trying out new things. And one thing that we have seen Houston get a little bit better on throughout the season is the defense. I always thought Houston was going to have a strong defense. It's had its moments through the season. It's not as consistent as I want it to be.
For the most part, compared to the other 2-1-7 teams, that has been somewhat of their saving grace, is that they have, at least total defense, they're the 5th best in the league, and they've done reasonably well against the run in the pass. They're middle of the road. The other two are bottom barrel easily. So that's their strength. They just haven't been able to do a consistent offensive identity every week. Credit. I'm wondering what they do this week. And actually, this hasn't been talked about a ton, but they did allow Nolan Henderson to play a little bit. He's not on the injury reports. And I'm also referencing this in the sake that as we're talking, the Wednesday injury reports were put out, and he was not on the injury reports. Jared Garantano is, which is understandable.
Why didn't they put Nolan Henderson in earlier in the season? Everyone thought I was joking. And it's a shame that he got rattled a little bit last week, because he was playing the way that I've been telling everybody. That's what we need out on the field. We waited right all the way to the end, and this and that. And oh my goodness, what could have been? There's games that we could have won this season, I feel, if we had him at quarterback. And that's nothing against any of our guys. I mean, Guarantano got hurt early on. Reed Sinnett, 50-50. He's great sometimes, but he just doesn't. You need the consistency.
So
But anyway.
Sinet's stable, but he doesn't bring you a high ceiling. That's the thing that the Roughnecks need is they need a high ceiling guy. Also execution. That's something that last week I thought for the most part Houston did well. Sans, the last touchdown drive they gave up, which was on a punt, mind you. Don't have an offsides, and things don't go the way they go possibly. But if you execute just a little bit, and honestly, I do kind of want to see him experiment a little bit. I do. My worry is that they're going to go and lean back on Reed because Reed's been in all year and doesn't hurt. But look, they let Nolan out of the penalty box for a little bit and played a drive. He was a fun watch. He's mobile. He's got more of a scramble ability than Reed does, and I think that explosiveness we saw last week. Last week was the week of the mobile QB.
Yeah.
I would be interested to see what he can do. And again, I'm looking at the injury reports too, and things can change, but Michigan's kind of banged up on that front line. And they're trying to get ready for the playoffs right now. They know what they're locked into. I don't know. Like this to me, I can see Houston getting a win. I still am leaning Michigan because I trust that they're going to execute. I don't trust Houston to execute and to get out of their own way. But I want to see Nolan get some snaps. Because I think that offense could be fun to end the year and have a chance to get an upset win here.
I think the Roughnecks are pulling it out. I think they're going to pull it out. It's refs law matchup.
It is. No matter what,
guaranteed
you're
refs
playing
law.
with house money. No matter what, you get this. So,
and it just feels like this is okay. We had the earlier refs law. Panthers won. Now it's our time. It's the inverse. So we're going to get the second win for that reason. We're going to get it for the reason that it's our last home game. And we're going to get it because we should have got it like every other game this season. And hopefully, if things go well, we'll wrap things up with a nice win next week. But that would guarantee you get a loss next week. So we'll have to see. We'll have to play how things go.
You got to balance out the deck.
Yeah, but I really, I'll tell you this, Zach. I know I talk about refs law a lot, but if anybody else said this nonsense and it came true, they would as well. I cannot believe we were 90% on refs law last year, and we're one flipping game away. Not this week, but next week. One game away from having back-to-back 90% refs law on the season. The refs law has a better record than the Birmingham Stallions. Starting from last year. Birmingham Stallions. Oh, wait, we have the same record.
Yeah.
2 losses.
Yeah.
2 losses. So if refs law wins out this year and the Stallions take another law, refs law has a better record than the Stallions starting from last year. That's insane. Thing. That's crazy. Give me the ring. Give me my champion. And you don't even need to give me a ring. Hook me up with the shirt. You can give me an old one. I know you got at least an old USFL one or an old XFL one. Hook me up for refs law. 90% last year. We're up to, technically it's 87.5 right now. But considering this week's guaranteed, it's really at 88.88888 repeating. And then that leaves us to the last week to see if we're at 90%. I'm blown away by it. Refs law is crazy. I have to look and see what are the 2 games, like what are the games where refs law got defeated last year and this year to see if there's any, like, there's something to this, Zach. I don't know if we'll get it next year. I feel like it would be impossible to get it 3 years in a row. I thought it was impossible the first year. What the hell is going on here?
I'm just impressed. That's all I can tell you. And hey, tell you what, the odds for your end of the bargain, I think, are possibly up there. I'm just going off of what our good old friend James Larson's saying, talking on a media call this week with Coach Johnson. He would like to see Henderson start. So very much leaning that Henderson's going to get the start as long as he is over not being rattled, which credit, the Wednesday injury reports kind of show I think he's going to get the start. So this week might be fascinating. You get to see Nolan play, it looks like, which again brings a different bit of a spark to their offense. He's more mobile. He's more going to be getting out of the pocket. And they did more design runs last week with him. Mm-hmm. Fascinated to see what happens. I'm telling you, that's going to help change things a little bit in dynamic wise for that game.
Yeah. I know I'm looking forward to it. I'm actually bummed that it's a regional game that when I have to go to the game because I can't, although I did it before. I just watch it on my phone while I'm at the game, but I mean, I like to pay. I'll just watch the other one later, but at least at least there's nothing where like playoffs are on the line on a game that I'm missing.
Yes.
So at least I have that going for me. But yeah, I'll tell you this. If you're in the Houston area, you're not sure if you're going, you should go. Come hang out with us. I get it. The Roughnecks didn't do what we all wanted and expected this year, but we need to show this team that we love them. I know I'm going to be there next year. I want y'all to be there next year. Come out this weekend. I will tell you this. It's going to be humid. It's going to be hot and it's going to be humid. I went outside because I'm actually on vacation right now. I haven't taken time off forever, but I left my house the other day and my God, I had no clue what it felt like outside because I just live in air conditioning. And you saw Zach, most of the time I'm too cold. Right? I'm just cold in my house. I walk around with a sweater. I walked outside of my house with a sweater on the other day. I was like, what the hell is this? It was so humid. It felt like I was wearing like a jacket on top of my sweater. I was like, okay, all right. I'm not cold anymore. So I got a feeling this Sunday you might want to stay hydrated, drink a lot of water, because it's going to be like 95 degrees and like 70% humidity. But show up to the game. It's at 2:30 in the afternoon, so it is going to be right at the hottest part of the day. But come out anyway. I'm going to be there, and you know what? The hotter it is, the more we'll go insane for the stuff anyway, because we'll all be mad from the heat. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping to see everybody there. And if I don't, I'll remember it, and I'm going to call you out. How you like that?
I know you will. I know. I know it's coming. Look, I did it earlier this year. I have a video of me being me anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting it. Otherwise, hey, maybe I do something. Maybe I don't,
Yeah.
Just got to hang on and find out. That's all I can tell you. This is kind of a personal rivalry for you and I. I still hold it as that. So,
It's good old Refs Law.
Yeah.
Refs Law rivalry.
Refs Law.
I like it. One of these years, we'll get at least a conference championship.
The Refs
with our
Law
teams.
Rumble. That's the new one. Used to be the grudge match. Now it's just F it, the Refs Law Rumble. Seems like it's just evolved to that.
Well, that's why I can't wait to see who's in the championships. Maybe we can make a bet on that because, it's going to be hard because we might root for the same team. But we'll see. Let's see how the chips fall. Mm-hmm. Because if it's the Panthers in there, I might just root against them just to spite you.
I'm down for taking this. Yeah, look, if Michigan makes it, then yeah, we'll split it like that. I'm instantly down for doing sides like that. I'm still down for it. I just I think we'll do a bet. The sides are going to be what we're going to have to flip a coin on if something goes a certain way. But,
for sure.
Yeah, it should be fun. Is all I can tell you. It should be good.
And this is what it's all about, Zach. We're 8 weeks down, 2 weeks left. Couple weeks of, we have a playoff and a championship game, and then we ride out into the sunset of the offseason, which, what does that even mean? Well, we know what that means because we've actually seen what an offseason looks like in a spring league. We didn't have that luxury a couple years ago, Zach. We remember the first offseason with the USFL, we're like, what is even going to happen? I get that players are going to get signed, to the NFL teams, but we've never actually seen it play through on drafts and people. So we all have that to look forward to. It looks like we're going to have a draft this summer. Potentially. Looks like we have probably information coming out potentially on expansion, maybe not.
Maybe
definitely
not.
News on the venue app and Friday night games. And so there's going to be plenty to be talking about in the off season. And of course I'm going to Europe, which actually, Zach, I'll tell you this. I don't know why I haven't bought one yet, but I'm getting a gimbal for my phone and my camera.
Mr.
I don't know why I never bought one.
Yeah. Mr. Traveling Vlogger, man. Look at you coming out with this.
Well, I feel like that would have been so good to have for the things that we even did in spring and summer stock. And then I was looking at GoPros. I'm like, why have I never just bought a GoPro? A GoPro is amazing.
That
you can live stream from it. We could have used it for our camera. We could have used it for everything. I'm like, 3 years in, actually 6 years in, I guess I think about it. So I'm not going to get the GoPro yet, but I am going to at least get the gimbal because I feel like that is going to make such a difference on my shots and all these other things. And it has face tracking on it. So if you put it on a tripod and I walk around, it'll turn the camera and follow me and do all those other things. Okay. I'm like, that's genius. Why have we never had this? So
gonna have to discuss this for future setups.
Well, definitely
down the way.
I might go get it this afternoon. So if I do, we'll have it for the championship game because I do want to film some stuff while we're out there. And then, we'll put out some type of video. Like I said, we're not going to be live streaming summer stock this year, but we are going to be out there having a summer stock.
If that wasn't apparent, by the way, it's tailgate season for us. We're going to the game. We're going to have a good time. Come say hi. We're going to find some place to tailgate or figure out how we're doing the tailgating, but we will be tailgating.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I know we got all sorts of friends in St. Louis, so I'll probably reach out to our dude Arlington Lane and company and see what they're going on and probably just do something in conjunction because why have two things going on when there could be one big thing going on?
Sure, man.
But anyway, these are all details that we'll keep you posted for. But like I said, we'll definitely have some kind of video thing. Maybe what we can even do is like a live around the UFL after the game with James or something, like a quick one. Because Monday might be tough because we're both going to be like traveling.
Yeah,
like
shoot, man. Day. I'm figuring that out, but I was going to say we'll have to keep posted. I know you. No matter what, you and I know we're going to be there. I'm going to be there Saturday night. Just for that's the thing. It's going to be that. Go to the game with everyone and tailgate. But we're definitely going to have to do some post content. That's no matter what, that is going to be on the platter. Just got to find a place to do it. But we will certainly find that spot.
Yeah. The answer is always yes.
Before we go today, and I know we do skews and we talk football out on here, and I try not to always go off with other football leagues. We did talk AFL earlier. I won't be. This is not an arena thing again, so don't worry, guys. I'm not gonna bother any of you in the comments with arena, but. Shout out to the European League of Football, by the way. 4th season starting this year. It's been 4 years. They are starting their 4th year of football. That is impressive, to say the least. Think about that. The season 4 is already here. We've gone that long now.
I know. It is crazy. And I don't know if you saw, but James just put out an article the other day on all the USFL and XFL players that are going to be in the ELF this summer. I've watched it, and I've watched a few games in the past seasons, but I think this is the year that I get like a little bit more into it, watch a few more games. Like I said, I don't think I'm going to be able to get to a game while I'm out there, but I'm still hoping. I just have to see what other teams there are and what options I have. Because I'll tell you this, the week that I come in is the final week, so I missed the Paris Musketeers game by 1 day. But the following week, which I will be in town for, is when the playoffs start. So if things work out, I might actually be able to go to a playoff game on the Saturday, depending. So that's my hope. We will see.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I'm just impressed. Like I said, that's the thing that has been so cool is it's been 4 years, 2021. And I remember 2021. I covered a little bit of it. I didn't do as much because it's been crazy with the UFL, USFL. That was around the time we switched over to this because we weren't certain about the XFL. So I was doing solo stuff with the ELF and my good friend Aaron Ellis and company and Alt Football Scout, who's now well into doing his own stuff with agency work. He's doing a great job, by the way, with a pro level sports agency. And now, like, I'm looking at their stuff. Like, for example, Stefan, like the Warclaw Panthers, based out of Poland. They're like one of the teams that came in, like I think it was year 2. They came in, or it was year 1. They were like from the Polish league. They're starting to do these like individual games in big stadiums. Their home opener on the 26th, so this weekend, they have 12,000 tickets sold to that home opener. My God, like I'm serious. This has been an impressive rise. Like this league first year was so chaotic. They put it together in 5 months.
Yeah.
5 months. And now they're in year 4. They have 18 squads, I believe it is.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
It's nuts.
Because they didn't go without their issues, right? They lost a couple teams, but
they
then
stumbled, but
they actually like pulled it off. And I don't know if people were so sure. And what I think is super interesting about the ELF is, they have names from the original NFL Europe League. They have names from the NFL, like the Vienna Vikings, and there's a couple other ones in there that are, the Panthers again.
I've been blown away. There's more international talent from the U.S. that's gone over, and still picky, but like, it's good football. Like, that's the thing. 4 years in, I just have to bring it up because they are playing this weekend to kick things off. I know you're going to see some of those ex-guys go over there is all, but just I have to end the show. Like, hey, that is an alternative football success story right now. And it's helping grow the game in Europe. That's the thing. Like, NFL is expanding out there, but like the ELF's getting an audience. It's impressive that they have grown so much.
I wonder if they sell ELF merchandise in stores in Europe. Because if they do, I'm going ham while I'm out there because then I don't have to deal with shipping.
You could certainly try it, but yeah, like good luck shipping international because I'd buy CFL gear, but yeah, the shipping is a killer.
Man, they sell jerseys too?
They do.
Wow,
I'm telling you, this is like
$56.
Like this league is well built out. Like some football fans have caught on, but like I've just been impressed. They have built out so much in 4 seasons. Like legit impressive stuff how they have built this.
They need a team in London stat because I think it would pull. I think people would go. You see people show up to those NFL games. And I know a lot of people in the UK that are like die-hard NFL fans, you know.
The London Marnock's trademark is just kind of chilling there. I mean, it's right there. So,
and there's so many soccer stadiums.
I just got to bring it up because they are starting this weekend too. We're getting more football coming up. CFL's kicking off too. Their preseason games right now, and their season's going to start next month. But like the ELF, like seriously, truly an impressive story. I have been shocked at the growth. They have done a great job, and it just seems like they just keep going up.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know about you, Zach, but I'll tell you this: I'm looking at the jerseys, and if I'm going to pick any team, it might have to be Milano. Have you seen the Milano team?
I know. I love the name. Yeah, I know some people it's a joke name, but like, you know,
I mean,
good old Milano Seaman right there. That's Hey, YouTube.
There's only 3 left in stock, too. Oh, you can do it personalized.
You can. I know that, too. Yep.
No shit. Okay.
I'm telling you. Look at it. This man's going to be buying tons of Seaman merch.
Oh, but that's the problem, too. I actually wanted to say Seaman on the back, so I don't want it to be custom.
I'm a Ryan Fire kind of guy. I got a championship under my belt last year for that, so you know.
See, I like the Musketeers just because it's a funny name, but man, the Seaman, they may have won me over. And isn't what's his name? Isn't the Raiders former coach?
John Gruden is
Gruden? Yeah.
If I remember right, he's working. Let me double check this. I'm pretty sure he's working with the Hamburg Sea Devils. I gotta double check.
I thought he was with Milano.
Well, wait. Oh, you're right. He is with Milano. Thank you. He is working as an advisor out there. But that's not all. Like Joe Thomas this year. He's working out there. Remember, Jim Tomsula, he's head coach for the Ryan Fire. Like, this is a legit league, guys. Like, I have to bring up, like I said, it's kind of impressive what they've been able to do in 4 seasons. And it's getting legitimate year over year. Like, shockingly more legitimate. It's really cool. I'm sorry, I had to end the show like that. You know, I think the LF has its due. Like, it's been 3+ years now after like seeing some scandalous housing conditions, and they've cleaned shit up. Yeah. Like, they've been doing good.
And here's the great news. If you're like bummed out that spring football's about to end, we only have a few more weeks of the UFL. Dude, we got a whole summer of ELF. Like, this goes until like September.
We got the IFA next year. I mean, got a lot of football.
We have so much alternative football. Like, when we first started this stuff, it was like AAF was coming, and then that fizzled away. And then the XFL thing, and then the illness that we shall not name happened. But if you would have asked me then, I kind of thought, I was like, man, it's a bummer. All this stuff is like over and it's done. No, it just created a resurgence in not just spring football, but alternative football, because now we've seen arena leagues. The fact that there's multiple arena leagues out there operating.
That's wild.
There's multiple spring leagues potentially when you look at, I don't know if you want to count ELF.
I count the ELF. I count the ELF, the CFL, all in that same. It's alternative. I always do spring alt. It's alt football because it's not what the NFL is the top dog. Anything else that's outside of it is alternative. So it's alt football, you know, but it's good. I mean, the interest has popped off. And again, they made this in 2021. So like, you know, still was disease to not be named the area of the history. And again, they put together in 5 months. I don't know. I end the show like that. Just, hey, ELF, my hat goes off to you, well, theoretically on screen. Because, 4 seasons in, that's a good mark, The other leagues around are either elsewhere international, which, by the way, fun fact, third longest running football league in the world is in Japan, behind the Canadian Football League and the NFL, or behind the NFL and the Canadian Football League. Football's growing, man. It's great.
Worldwide.
So great.
Worldwide. I really hope somebody recognizes some UFL merch while I'm out there, when I'm out in Europe. But I definitely have to scoop up some ELF merch, so I need to find out if they sell it at whatever sports stores they have in Europe, because if they do, that's going to be so much easier than getting things shipped and this and that and blah, blah, blah. It's usually cheaper at a store, too.
ELF has an official Discord. You might want to ask around in there. Probably can find some Paris fans.
That's a good point. Yeah. Good point. Yeah. I'm taking a note of that because that's exactly what I'm going to do. But now we get to head into the weekend, Zach. We have a whole bunch of slate of games. And like I said, although, who's going to be in the playoffs is not on the line, there is still things on the line, plenty of storylines to pay attention to. I'm looking forward to it. Zach, I know you're looking forward to it. And we hope you're all looking forward to it. Let us know down in the comments. What is your game of the week? And then we'll be back here next week, two times really, Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern for Around the UFL, and I will be there this week. Nice Memorial Day kickoff for us. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, next Friday we'll be back with episode 88 of the UFL podcast. And a great way to see all that is make sure you're subscribed, click the bell. It builds morale. It also lets you know when we go live, when we drop new videos, like the options that I mentioned before. Make sure you like the video or dislike it. Either one. It helps us. It's free. It's me. It's you. It goes a long way. It helps us sign you up. Hey, you want to be a legend? Do those things, but you can also get yourself some limited edition Ducky merch, which all of the proceeds go into Feeding America. That's the name of the charity. Last year we gave 1,000 meals. This year we're looking to top that.
Let's bump up those
sales
numbers.
Stop. Yeah, let's get them up here because the sales end on the date of the championship. So at minimum, we're going to announce that either after the game for Around the UFL, or if we put out any, we'll be putting out some kind of content while we're out there. And hey, you want some official merch? Head over to breakingtea.com/USFL network newsroom, USFL newsroom, or use the code USFL newsroom to get 10% off any merch, whether it's XFL, USFL, UFL, or even NFL, MLB. They got it all. It's going to save you 10%. Use that code. It helps us out as well. Any final thoughts before we head into the sunset here, Zachy boy?
Have a great weekend of football, and you're going to have plenty more, like I said, coming over the horizon. So enjoy it. Again, I always talk. It's a great time to be a football fan. Embrace what you got out there. So much to watch. And again, CFL one too, like I said. Preseason, it's free for Americans. Mm-hmm. Just got to sign up with an
CFL
email.
Plus. Get signed up. We have options. We have UFL. We have Arena Football. We have CFL. We have ELF. What more could you ask for? But I think that's it, folks. Until next time, sign you